right, I'm Sam the Man. That's Mohammed the Machine,
Yep.
or Magnet, whatever you want to call him. And we're back. We're back. Sorry for the long break, summer,
Our fans missed us.
obviously. And today, we're going to be talking about the NFL/NCAA football, some scores, some rankings, opinions, the big NBA offseason, the Dwight Mayer finally ending, some retirement, some big names, and just overall news around the league. NBA tip-off, which is today. We're going to be talking about some predictions and some upcoming events and stuff, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the World Series. Boston. All right, first up, in the NFL, what a crazy year for the NFC East and the AFC North, and just both those divisions looking really, really bad.
Yeah.
Just looking, how can the Giants be 2-6 and still in it? It's just doesn't make any sense.
It looks like they're picking up some slack. They started off 0-6.
They
won two
beat
games
two
right
losing
now.
record teams. I'll be impressed when I see them beat a good team.
You're right. Surprisingly, though, Giants are doing bad this season. Jets not so bad though. The Jets are
okay. They're 4-4. They're 500. They're not doing as bad as everybody predicted. Without a quarterback, I think Geno Smith is the quarterback of the future. But if either the Giants or the Jets, if we get an early pick, I say that either team needs a good running back. You pick up Duke Johnson from Miami. What a stud.
What do you think about Eli, though? Because I'm hearing all these things about.
Do
you think he should be moved, or do you think he should still remain?
I think
in
we
New York?
still stay with Eli, even if it's just until we get a team back together. Because right now you're looking at him with a weak offensive line and very little running game. They're right now on like a fifth string running back. It's just they're not the Giants of old, obviously.
How do you? But I'm just.
D-line is also playing uninspired.
I'm looking at the Giants, and just a couple of years ago, literally not even too long ago, we had the best O-line in the NFL.
Well, D-line. We didn't really have the best O-line.
And now you look at them right now, and they're just...
Their O-line is weak. It was they moved a lot of the players. We lost OCU and
But they are so terrible. It doesn't even look like they can tie their shoes correctly at this point, Sam. Like, they look that bad in certain games.
Yeah, they are. The O-line is really bad, but I think the real reason the Giants are losing is because the D-line is playing uninspired. You have one player coming back from back surgery. You have another player who just doesn't seem to want to play. OCU Manura, we moved away. It's just that was the strength of the defense. No matter what the linebackers, we never truly had amazing linebackers, but the D-line really held its own, and I think that that's where we're struggling this year. So, in college football, Florida State Miami is a big game this week. I can't wait to watch it. Absolutely can't wait. That game is going to be nuts. So, obviously, you don't know anything about college football. So let's go back to what you truly want this show to be entirely about. NBA. It's been quite an off-season. Dwight Howard going to the Rockets, some big changes, Josh Smith going to the Pistons.
It looks like
Nets
the East has taken over the NBA. The East is where it's at.
I wouldn't say taken over.
But the East is the more powerful conference now.
It doesn't matter what powerful conference it is, because if the team from the West that makes it to the finals is better than the team from the East, then who cares about how many great teams and
this decade is going to be mostly on the East, though.
Okay, how do you know that?
Just look at the teams.
Okay, I could look at the teams. They could have the most depth of any teams possible ever in the history of the world, as long as that team. If the team that the East sends.
What teams are you looking at?
I don't care.
No. Give me a team. What teams are you looking at?
You're completely changing the subject.
There has to be something. Look, what teams are you looking at?
No, you're making a statement that's way too early to be made. That's a plain old fact, because I don't care. They could be the deepest conference in the world. If the team that they send to the finals can't beat the team from the West, then who cares?
You're right.
Who cares? It doesn't really matter. They could have the greatest teams ever. It could be the hardest conference ever, but who cares?
What teams do you have your eye on to go far this season? On the East first. We'll just do East.
In the East?
Yeah.
Pacers.
Just one team?
Pacers, Bulls, but that's a team I like the Pacers the most.
I'm looking at Pacers, Bulls, Wizards. I think
Wizards are good, but
and
I
maybe
think that they're
Cavaliers.
still young and they still need to kind of mend together.
Maybe
the Cavs
Cavaliers.
are going to be nice. I like the Cavs.
But the Wizards made
and the
really nice
Pistons.
additions. They added Shannon Brown to their roster. They added Gortat to
Yeah,
their
but at
roster.
this stage, it's kind of like late to be doing stuff like that and still have the chemistry that
They had
would
about a
normally be
week
produced.
now, a week and a half to work on a couple.
But still, you don't get that chemistry, especially from a good point guard like John Wall. If he doesn't have good chemistry with his teammates, he might want to make a fancy move. The player might not be there, and it could cost them a lot of turnovers and stuff.
We'll see what happens. And who do you think?
I think we have a call. Hello, who is this? Who's speaking, please?
Those crazy kids prank calling.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out who you are. we will find you.
What else? Now, what do you think the top teams in the West are going to be? I think the Clippers are something to be reckoned with. Again,
I mean,
with Doc
I think
Rivers,
that they're going to be good. But Doc Rivers, I mean, think about the physicality kind of left when Tom Thibodeau left in Boston. So
not
I think
physicality, but I'm looking at
that's what the Clippers need.
Yeah.
The Clippers have a great point guard no matter what it is. In Chris Paul, Doc Rivers can do all the coaching up he wants. He'll probably make him better, but at this point, you could have CP3.
It's also free throw shooting. It's also free throw shooting. He can definitely help out with that.
Any coach can, but that's something that just comes from practice.
And
not
he can
really
motivate.
Too much coaching. He can motivate a little bit. Then again, I think that what the Clippers need is physicality. And
only in Blake Griffin, because Chris Paul can be physical when he needs to be. DeAndre Jordan can somewhat be physical, but Blake
he's
Griffin,
a walking poster.
He's pretty much a highlight reel. Yeah, you're right.
For other players, not for himself.
Yeah.
So, I think that Doc Rivers is going to be. He wasn't really the one to instill that in Boston. I think Tom Thibodeau did that, and
Tom Thibodeau wasn't about physicality. He was just about hard defense.
Look at their Bulls. Look at the Bulls team that he has now. Look at the Boston team in 2008, and look at when Tom Thibodeau left. What happened?
They still went to the finals without Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, but they weren't the physical team that they needed to win that game, right?
It wasn't about physicality. That was just they were all swarmed up with injuries. 2009 they would have made it to the finals, but KG tore his ACL. And 2010, they went to Game 7 with the Lakers, but Kendrick Perkins was injured and out.
I'm telling you, Doc Rivers isn't the physicality kind of man. I think that's...
He's about... Come on. He's definitely about... There's a little of everything in Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers plays...
He's the best coach in the NBA right now.
What position did he play? Point guard. Oh, that's a real physical position. You're really getting down and dirty in the paint at point guard, right?
Isaiah Thomas is pretty physical for a point guard.
Are you kidding? Or is that a joke? Am I supposed to laugh?
No. I'm being dead serious. There is some pretty physical point guards.
Okay, so moving on from those absurd statements, I think that the Clippers needed a coach to teach them physicality, not somebody who will make... Doc Rivers is going to draw up great players, don't get me wrong, but I think that at this point, they need somebody who could help them out with
Will
physicality.
he help them get farther than the first round in the playoffs?
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I'm not sure. The Nuggets are a team to look at.
Yeah, they have Nate Robinson.
I don't like them getting rid of their coach though.
It wasn't George Karl.
He won Coach of the Year. I mean, he's a great coach, and he's great at creating an identity for a team. You know what I mean?
He's good at developing young talent.
He was
good with JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee's developing right now.
And keeping them there, because if you remember, he was the coach of Seattle, who had the identity of a great defensive team, and he is a coach, an identity-less coach, because he can coach and be a great defensive coach in Seattle, or he can coach and be a great offensive coach in Denver, which he was, and it's just he mends perfectly to it, and he helps the team that he works with. He helps identify what their strengths are and help them create an identity, which is why I think he was a great coach, and they shouldn't have fired him. Whatever team he goes to is going to be lucky to have him.
You know who's still unhired that deserves to have his job back? Lionel Hollins.
Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson's not going to get his job
back. I don't know about Lionel Hollins.
He literally helped the Grizzlies out. So he took them all the way over to the conference finals. That wasn't his fault. His team just couldn't do much anymore.
Oh, my.
You know how limited Zach Randolph is offensively?
Okay, so we're both in TV pro, right? A movie fails terribly. Whose fault is it?
It depends on the job. You can't just blame the director for everything.
I
knew you were going to do that.
That's exactly what happens.
You can't just blame the director for something.
My mom always used to tell me a saying, The engineer never gets credit unless everything goes wrong on a train. He never gets the credit unless everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with the coach.
But you're right. All the blame goes.
Spoelstra's not getting any credit. He doesn't deserve any, but he's not going to get any credit unless the Miami Heat do terrible. Then he's going to get all the credit for being the worst coach ever. That's just the way it works out in the world.
What other teams are you looking at in the West?
What other teams?
I'm looking at the Warriors.
Okay, you're just trying to copy everything else. I mean, we went over this before
They
the
made
show.
They made a really good addition to their team.
Guys.
They made a great addition to their team, and Andre Iguodala. I think he's definitely a stud. Let's be honest. He's gonna bring defense to their team. He's gonna bring physicality,
and he's gonna be a good starting 2 guard.
He can start 2 or he can start 3. Sam and I talked about this. And I prefer having Andre Iguodala start at small forward and bench Harrison Barnes to be the 6th man for your team. And what do you think, Sam?
Absolutely not.
What do you think?
All right, hold on. I just want to ask you a question. The 2 6th men of the year, right? What were they good at?
Scoring, spreading the floor.
No,
I take that back.
How did they spread the floor?
J.R. Smith was iffy.
How did they spread the floor?
Shooting threes, knocking down perimeter shots.
Who's a better 3-point shooter, Harrison Barnes or Klay Thompson?
Klay Thompson.
Okay, so why wouldn't you have him at 6th man?
I just prefer him starting.
No, I would not. Absolutely not prefer him to start. I would want Andre Iguodala starting, and I would want Klay Thompson coming off the bench with that nasty 3-pointer.
For a 6th man, I prefer someone who's really, really athletic, someone who's young to start a little spark for the bench to get them started.
No.
That's me. I'd bench Harrison Barnes.
What else starts a spark other than a 3-pointer? A dunk? I mean,
it could be a dunk. But he's athletic.
3-pointers.
I just think
3-pointers.
But Harrison Barnes is more versatile. He's more versatile than Klay Thompson.
Well, you're down by 18. Your starters are tired. Why would you not put in a 3-point shooter? Right? You would want one. They cut the lead. They get everybody going. They motivate the starters because now it's a close game. The starters feel amped up. We can take the game.
I see your logic behind it, but I still prefer Klay Thompson to start.
So you
want 2
3-point shooters in at one time.
Do you know how much that spreads the floor? San Antonio, even though Golden State lost, they were inexperienced. San Antonio did not know how to guard them because of all their 3-point shooters. And eventually, what happened? They
found out the way to do it.
No, you can't live and die. You can't. You either live or die by the 3. It's you can't always depend on 3-pointers night in and night out.
That's what you're suggesting to do.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's why you're suggesting that. You're saying why don't we start 2 3-point shooters? So what else would you suggest? You're literally suggesting that.
No, but then you have Andre Iguodala. You have.
You're suggesting.
Andrew Bogut.
Who would you rather in the paint? Who would you rather in the paint? Andre Iguodala or Harrison Barnes?
Andre Iguodala. I'd rather have Andre Iguodala in the paint.
You'd rather Andre Iguodala than Harrison Barnes, who is a tank.
Have you seen Iguodala compared to Harrison Barnes?
I've seen his toothpick legs.
Oh my God.
Who's he boxing out with those toothpick legs?
He can box out whoever he wants just using his upper body.
Absolutely. With his upper body, that's a foul.
Have you seen his vertical?
That's a foul.
You can't have toothpick legs and jump up 47 inches in the air.
Harrison Barnes, it doesn't matter how much hops you have if you can't box anybody out.
He's always boxing people.
I would rather have Harrison Barnes in the paint.
On the 76ers, he's doing so many different things. He can assist, he can score, he can rebound, and he can steal. He can play really good defense.
My starting 5 is you have the three amazing paint players, the driving in players.
Who?
Harrison Barnes, David Lee, and Andrew Bogut.
They start.
That's what I'm saying. That would be my lineup. Those 3 would be my lineup, and then you would have Andre.
You want Andre Iguodala as a 2 guard
and Steph Curry.
His shooting, Steph Curry, okay.
Steph Curry spreads the floor, and that's what's perfect about Steph Curry. He plays the point guard, so he spreads the floor and is able to make assists.
Andre Iguodala can still.
Exactly.
He's been working on his shooting a lot.
All right, that's why he plays shooting guard.
I'd put him as small forward.
For shooting?
No, he can do everything. He's so versatile.
Then why would you even make the point that he made? That was just a worthless point.
I'd put him as small forward and have Klay Thompson as shooting guard.
That was just a worthless point.
Harrison Barnes is a 6th man.
Andre Iguodala is working on his shooting. That's why I would have him at a driving position.
Oh my God!
Like that's what you just did.
A small forward isn't just a driving position. You can shoot. You can do everything.
Name one small forward that shoots. Besides Steve Novak, and he comes off the bench.
Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce has a
All
mid-range
he
shot.
does is shoot.
Has a mid-range shot.
Has he made a what?
He has a mid-range shot.
He can shoot threes. So you're telling me...
He could shoot threes as efficiently as some of the shooting guards?
Yes.
Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes.
You're really trying to suggest that he can shoot threes as efficiently as as most shooting guards?
Yes. No, you said some. Not Paul Pierce can play shooting guard position when he was younger. He is a really, really talented shooter. He can shoot threes.
You know why he plays small forward? For the same reason Carmelo Anthony does. You get the ball. They both do the same thing. They get the ball at the mid-range, right?
Go to post up.
What?
Go to post up.
They get the ball at the mid-range, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they either take the shot or they fake it and drive in, and it works almost every single time for both of them. LeBron James does the same thing, except for LeBron James can pass at the end of the drive, which is something neither of them can do.
The difference is Carmelo is still young. He's still pretty athletic, so he's got different tricks. Paul Pierce, are you going to sit there and argue that Paul Pierce, you're going to tell me that Paul Pierce can't shoot threes as well as...
I'm not saying he can't, but can't entirely, but he can't as well as most shooting guards.
He can shoot better than Bradley Beal.
All right, well, you have an option. You have an option. You have a 3-point shooter, right?
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay, you have a 3-point shooter. You're playing the Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay.
Or just name a physical team.
Memphis Grizzlies, you gave me a good example. Tony Allen can't shoot for his life. On Boston, they called him Trick or Treat Allen because you never knew what you were going to get from him day in and day out. What? He could not shoot.
Hold on.
Tony Allen's a shooting guard. Paul Pierce is a better shooter than Tony Allen.
Stop trying to change the subject.
No. I'm just answering your question you gave out before. Go.
You have a physical team. Say Bulls, Pacers, Grizzlies. A physical team.
Okay.
All right. Why would you want the small forward not playing in the paint, playing outside?
Andre Iguodala can play in the paint.
As a shooting guard, I'd rather see him play in the paint.
He can be a forward and play in the paint. Some of his most successful years were in Philadelphia. What position did he play in Philadelphia?
You know.
What position did he play in Philly? What position did he play in Philly?
Probably forward.
He played small forward. Yeah. He's 6'6". He can play both. He can get switched.
He can play both. But why would you want him at the forward instead of having Klay Thompson come off the bench?
If you can use
Why would you want 2 3-point shooters instead of one each time?
Do you know how much that would spread the floor?
And then so the next rotation comes in and you have no 3-point shooters and the floor is not spread at all? And
it won't be like that.
Why wouldn't it be like that? That's exactly how it would be.
Guards are usually really conditioned.
No.
You can keep them in for a little longer than you do your big men. Take your big men out. I'm sure their coach has different ways to sub in his bench players.
No, you sub them all in and you switch
You don't always necessarily do it like that. How did the Lakers do it last year? Last I remember, there was a stretch of games where Kobe stayed in the entire game, all 48 minutes.
Yeah, because he's a boss.
No, he's not. It's because he was stubborn. He wasn't listening to D'Antoni.
No, because he wants to win.
No, yeah, they won pretty well after he tore his Achilles and cost his team everything.
You're suggesting that has something to do with the fact that he played in for a while?
That he didn't rest? Yes.
What would an Achilles... I would say yes if it had something to do with like a knee, which is like wearing down all the time, but an Achilles, that was just a freak accident.
Oh, okay.
That has nothing to do with the fact that he didn't get rest.
If D'Antoni had the power, I'm looking for, help me out with the word right now. If he had the... I'm just going to say... If he actually took Kobe out and sat him down, would his Achilles have gotten torn that game instead of letting him play? Right before that, he played like 5 games, straight 48-minute games.
Do you understand what that's? You're basically saying, oh, well, if you took
Phil Jackson would have took him out. Doc Rivers would have took him out. There's so many coaches that would have took him out. D'Antoni just couldn't stand up to him to take him out.
You're basically...
And he ended up...
You know what you're saying? You're saying, oh, if the Bulls coach would have taken out Derrick Rose for that play, he would have never gotten injured.
That's completely different.
That's basically what you're saying.
That's completely different.
Hindsight is 20/20. Hindsight is 20/20. That's basically what you're doing. Nobody knows when an accident is going to happen. That's why it's called an accident.
Obviously, no one knows when an accident.
So how do you know that? How do you know whether or not to keep him in or take him out?
Kobe is 34.
How do you know when that is going to happen?
Kobe is 34.
How do you know that's not going to happen in the first place?
You cannot let Kobe Bryant play the entire game for like 7 straight games and expect nothing bad to happen when his body obviously can't handle it.
I can't even.
Derrick Rose is 23, but it was just a bad landing. That's what it was with him.
Oh, okay. No, I think what you're trying to say is basically the only way to
Kobe's older. He played too long. Go finish. I'm actually interested to hear what you're gonna say. Go.
It could have happened in the beginning or the end. It did not matter. It had nothing to do with rest. That's kind of like saying...
It had something to do with it.
had
No, I
nothing
know
to
what
do.
you're talking about. Most of the time it just happens.
I'm sorry,
especially
guys.
with the Achilles.
I didn't
it
get enough
happens
sleep
randomly.
last night. My Achilles is hurting.
It looks like you only had 10 minutes of sleep with these answers. You guys got to help him get some sleep.
What are you talking about? With your answers, obviously, Dr. Muhammad. Oh, yeah, I didn't get enough sleep last night, so my Achilles is hurting.
That's not what I'm saying to you.
What's the correlation between rest and Achilles? I don't understand.
He's not. You can't have someone play the entire 48-minute game in an NBA game. It just doesn't work out. And he's done it too long. He did it for 5 or 6 games before that. His body is under too much pressure. Something's gonna happen.
Kareem used to.
Kareem's a big man. He doesn't have to run. Kobe's a guard.
Kareem used to.
There's no way.
Shaq tried to.
What happened?
His agent went up
What
to
happened
Phil
to Shaq
Jackson
when he tried to?
His agent wound up going, because Shaq never wanted to admit it to Phil Jackson. His agent had to go up to Phil Jackson and say, listen, my client's been really tired lately and he's not producing the numbers that he would like, so could you not put him in for the entire game? Because Shaq wanted to, because Phil Jackson went up to him and said, Kareem used to play the entire game. So Shaq was like, okay,
Kareem
if I want to be like
Kareem wasn't athletic at all, though. A guard is completely different. When you're a center,
this is
you
coming
can
from
go
the same
along
person.
with...
Hold on, this is coming from the same person who earlier today said that Magic Johnson's rookie year wasn't good because he had help in Kareem
I didn't
Johnson.
say it wasn't good. I just said that his rookie year didn't match Wilt Chamberlain's rookie season, Michael Jordan's and Allen Iverson's. That's all I said. I didn't say it wasn't good. I said
Obviously,
it didn't.
an NBA
I said it didn't
championship
compare to
isn't
this.
good enough for you.
Oh my.
And with that being said, we'll talk about another championship.
Who did Michael Jordan have? Who did Michael Jordan have his rookie season?
Championship. We're gonna be talking about the
Who did
MLB.
Allen Iverson have his rookie season?
Oh my God, this kid. Okay, so obviously all these players play baseball now. We're talking about the World Series. Boston. I think they won last night. I didn't watch the entire game. The Red Sox won. I think it's pretty much over. The Red Sox are going to win this year.
Yeah,
they're
having a breakout season this year.
The next two games are at Fenway, and I don't think that the Cardinals can win 2 in a row in Fenway.
I'm applauding Boston. They're going to do bad in basketball for the next couple of years, but they're doing pretty well in baseball. So.
You want me to kill you, don't you?
What were you about to say, Sammy?
Stupid beards.
What were you about to say?
Oh, yeah. Boston's going to be good in a couple of years. The Celtics.
4 or 5 years after they get a couple of draft picks, Rondo's going to be in his prime. Jared Sullinger, all the young guys they have are going to be up a little bit, 26, 27 years old.
All right. Obviously.
No argument, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Obviously.
Calling it Boston championship in 5 or 6 years.
All right. Obviously, he needs more sleep. His Achilles is hurting, so it's been... I'm Sam the Man. That's Muhammad the Machine. This has been our show, Sam and Mo in the Morning.
Thanks for watching.
I like this music.